Hey, Dave here from Powerwolf with another Drifter Dev Diary. The game came out about a month ago now, but I thought I'd keep doing some Dev Diaries. I've got a bunch of topics I didn't get around to talking about. This one is about voice acting. I learned a heap going through the process of casting and recording voices and stuff for the Drifter. So I thought I'd sort of share my experiences, I guess, and the way I did stuff, including the tools and stuff I used. Game's going great. Still been busy working on stuff, but mostly like bits of like biz dev and like boring stuff, fixing bugs as they come up. I'm going away on a holiday for a month soon, so that'll be nice to get a bit of distance from things and chill out. But just basically trying to get things into just a stable state, make sure everything's pretty solid before I go, and then I think once I'm back, looking at bigger features like more localization and porting and stuff like that. Switch port will be the next thing after that, I think, and probably other like little projects and stuff while that's happening. But yeah, I'll jump into the topic. First thing I guess I can show is just generally like some tool stuff, like how I export scripts and stuff from the game. So I'll jump across to here. So yeah, here's the editor, like on this sort of initial bridge room. So when the character picks up the phone, Mick picks up the phone and talks to Annie. So it's this script here. And so the way my scripts work is, if you remember this part of the game, it's right in the demo. Mick picks up the phone. His sister Annie says, "Mick, hey," and then they have this conversation. So there's a bunch of other sort of Codey stuff in here. I'll make it a bit bigger for you. Programming stuff in here, but when I'm writing it, I'm basically writing it in here. So it's just like the character and a semicolon and then the line. Initially, it would look more like just like, "Hi, are you in town?" Yeah, that kind of thing. And then I added things like the character walking around in between lines and all that stuff. But the other thing that gets added is I go to Tools here, and I process the game text. And what that does is it adds IDs for each line, so that, and that's what you see here. So Annie's line 0 is Mick, hey, and Mick's line 26 is hey, yeah, hey. And that means then you can connect voice files and localization stuff with the text that's in the script. So I really like doing it that way, like keeping it all in code, the text, but then having a way to export and import and stuff like that. And then the next bit is jumping into exporting the script, I guess. So once the sort of game's, the text is sort of locked or done to a point where I'm ready to start recording some, I can press generate script and it'll just spit out a script for every character in the game, every line. But I think I'm just going to show you Annie and Sanjay. So yeah, this will highlight the characters' names that I've listed in here. So that's useful for when you're recording one particular actor. Yeah, you don't want to have the entire script of the whole game when they're just going to jump and find their parts. And you can also specify if there's particular parts of a script that you want to use, which I might do to show you. But skip recorded sections, so that was helpful for, like, with Adrian, we'd be recording, and if you miss a line, then you want to spit out a script that shows the lines you've missed. But also, like, you don't want to. When you've recorded half the dialogue and you want to have a new script for the next section, you don't want to to include all the stuff you've already put in game. But for now, because the game's got all the lines in it, I'll untick that so we can actually export something. The preview thing, that's fine. So one other thing is this get section order button, and that spits out a big text file, and that's got all the basically all the code sections, like the sections of dialogue. So, answering the phone here would be here. Yeah. So room, bridge, answer phone call from your sister. And I did it as a text file, so you can just quickly chuck it in your Notepad or whatever text editor you want and move things around. So for example, this is sort of ordered by stuff that happens in game. So you might, the kitchen thing might actually happen later. Like that might happen after this lab corridor stuff. So I can just move that down here. And that way I'll just order things in the script the same way that they'll be in the game. So if there's a bit where your character gets really scared for a while, then it's not jumping between that and then being really relaxed. It's like it's got all that stuff together, and that was pretty helpful. That was a sort of feature I added relatively late. So let's export one. So I'm just going to do what was it? Bridge. So yeah, bridge, and I think there's one that'll do. So yeah, this is just a small section. It's just got this room where you have the phone call with your sister, and then some stuff in the funicular, just to show you what the bits where Annie and Sanjay are together. Now, yeah, there's some minor spoilers here, so I'm not going to spoil anything big or anything, but like there might be some character stuff that pops up. So if you want to avoid anything, then go play the game. All right, yeah. So then just hitting generate script. Let's call it video. And that exports the script and pops it in. Basically, it's an HTML file. It looks a bit like a movie script, the way it's formatted. So yeah, formatted like a movie script, but then you've got some stuff for if you're like looking at an iPad or phone or something, you can zoom in and out to make it a bit easier. And it's highlighting the characters which I sort of specified, so you can kind of easily find the lines for the actor to record. And then I can also toggle the style. So yes, so this is maybe an easier style for if the actor's reading it off an iPhone or something. Just much bigger, bolder text. So sometimes like it exports as an HTML file, but you might export it you might then save it as a PDF or something to send. But I kind of uploaded these on my for them to like look at remotely, I guess, just onto our website server thingy. That's all pretty easy. And this line here is this bit here is the ID, which the file name for the audio file needs to have that name. So I think you should be able to hear when I click these. So yeah, I added this feature where if you save the script into the folder where the rest of your game stuff is, you can click the IDs and it'll actually play the line.
Annie?
Mick, hey!
Yeah, hey.
How you doing? You in town yet? Can't wait to catch up.
That was handy. It's very handy for like checking stuff later, especially when you've got the game ready and you're just testing lines and fixing stuff. But it was also really helpful doing the voice acting because I'd recorded a bunch of Adrian's stuff before we did some of the other voice actors, so could do Adrian's line and then the actor could sort of perform against Adrian's actual lines, and just by like me having this open in the session and clicking the line. But usually like with Zoom or Discord, I kind of share my screen, but then they wouldn't look at it. They'd just listen to the audio. So I could basically just be sharing what I can hear when I'm clicking this stuff. So that was awesome. Like that was really helpful. And even for pickups, like later, you could kind of, so there might be some lines where say, let's see if there's any here. Like there's 3 narrator lines here.
No idea what her address is. How am I supposed to remember they'd moved?
Yeah. So like say the middle line needed to change or had an issue with it, like a click or something like that, and we wanted to do a pickup, we could play what it was previously, and then he could just mimic exactly the same thing, but just like the correct little thing. So that stuff was like super, super nice to have. I really like that feature. Down here you can see like...
We've got to be going.
No shit.
I can get this working.
We should just leave with what we can carry.
Sanj, how much water does a person need a day?
Yeah. So that's sort of how the script stuff worked. So that's nice and easy. And then I can show you, I'll talk about the whole process of casting and everything else first. Where's my camera on? Yeah. Casting and everything first, but then can show you how, like, what I did in terms of once I've got all the WAV files, like how I get them in the game, because that was interesting as well. And there's some sort of tools I kind of added or stuff I messed with to make that an easier process. But yeah, so next I guess part of the talking about voice acting was like how I went about finding people. So casting process, I guess, because that was something that I definitely learned the most about. I had no idea about it at all. Like I'd worked with Adrian, who voiced the main character, and a bunch of others in the game. We're old friends, and we've done heaps of game jams together, and he's always done lots of fun voices for us. And so the character Mick Carter was always going to be him. Like that was his that was the character was kind of written for him, basically written for his like gruff Aussie accent. And so we'd kind of started recording his stuff after I had the script pretty much locked, at least chapter by chapter. So I'd sort of be, maybe refining the script a bit and stuff as we were testing later chapters, but then recording about kind of over a year and a half because, he had a full-time job as well. So it's kind of squeezing it in when he had time, or if if he'd gone out late the night before, he'd have a particularly gravelly voice and he'd be really keen to record. So we just sort of steal a couple of hours for a session. But yeah, sort of, recording once or twice a week, but then, with lots of gaps. So it took a long time because it was, I don't know, almost 10,000 lines maybe. I'm not really sure exactly. Maybe not. Maybe it was like 5,000, but lots. All the mixed lines and all the narrator lines. Yeah. So I had that worked out. And I recorded with some other voice actors before in game jams. But that's a very different sort of thing because, they say, hey, anyone want voices for this game jam? I'm available. And, you go, oh, yeah, cool. I'll do something. And you just send them the script while you're furiously working and then hopefully you get back some lines. And that'd have been awesome doing that. Like Ivy Dupla did some for us when we did Intergalactic Wizard Force and Icebox as well. Intergalactic Wizard Force was a fun one because I got Adrian and another friend, Jacob Janerka, who made Paradigm and stuff. We all got in a Discord session together and and did all the lines recorded in one big session together, which was really fun. So I was sort of directing and those two were bantering back and forth. It was awesome. But yeah, the idea of having to put my game out there to a random audience of lots of people who want to do voice acting and somehow magically find the right cast for the game was really scary, especially because the game had been in the works for 5 years or 4 years. Yeah, no, 5 years at that point, really. And so, yeah, it was terrifying. So I didn't want to get to that point and then that, not find the right people and it just the character just doesn't quite work or, can't find the right person. And it was really good, but then we put the voice acting and it wasn't as good as I'd hoped, so it's kind of scary. And I'd been did a bunch of research, how you even do this. And I started writing, a character bio kind of thing. This is the sort of more final version of it. But yeah, I was kind of cobbling together stuff I've heard or read, from other people who'd done this process. But then, I just randomly heard a few times the word casting director, and I had no idea what that was. What is a casting director? Because I just didn't even know. So I asked some people, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's great. Get a casting director. It's so helpful." Basically, a casting director is someone who will help you write a sort of audition guidelines and character bios. They'll send out the casting call to, they'll put it on voice acting discords and they'll, might approach agents and stuff, or they might have some people they know already that they send it to, and post about it on Twitter or whatever it is. So send all that stuff out for you, and then deal with all the hundreds of auditions that you can get back. It's a lot apparently. And then just write give a short list to you. So you can go through the sort of top picks and the ones some of them they might have worked with before and know that they're really good. And other ones might be, ones that would just stand out performances. But we'll sort of cut out the ones that didn't have the quality up to par, with what you need, or what just weren't right for the character. So if you want an older character's voice and it sounds really young, that kind of stuff where you're oh, that's definitely a no. So you don't have to go through as many as a dev. Super helpful, and also organized all the logistics of scheduling all the sessions and stuff, because I wanted to be in there directing during the sessions, and in Australia our time zones are very different, so she had to manage. Casting director had to manage when I'm available and then when actors are available. So making all that line up, super helpful. And yeah, casting director was it costs money, but I think in terms of especially the grand scheme of a game, I think all the voice acting stuff was relatively inexpensive, especially for how much impact I made in the game. It's such a I don't know. It's hard to look at the cost. So, it's written here. rate. It's a non-union rate. It's sort of an indie game rate, and there's basically a rate that people use, and everyone uses it, so you should use it, because that's what you pay good voice actors, I guess. But when you look at like 250 USD an hour, because you don't pay anyone else that kind of rate for hourly work, it feels like, oh well, that's a lot, and 2 hour minimum, oh, that feels like a lot. But because you get through so much so quickly with voice actors, and there's a limited amount you want, even in a big game, it actually ends up not being that much, not expensive. So definitely, if you're looking at it, I wouldn't I'd budget for it, but it's compared to art and like coding stuff and like the bulk of building a game, it's very good bang for buck, I think. So definitely the kind of standard indie rate that you pay, which is this $250 an hour with a 2 hour minimum, is like definitely worth it. And then, yeah, there's a few bits on top of that. So yeah, casting director is a little bit for each character on top. But again, like definitely worth it. And relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. And then potentially, your casting director will also help you find multicast actors. So because there's a 2 hour minimum standard sort of thing, you don't want to have a character that's got 2 lines that you have to cast and find an actor for, and then have that actor do those 2 lines and then be like, all right, that's it, 500 USD please. And it takes 5 minutes. You might have 20 of these sort of tiny characters, and so that adds up a lot. That'll help with multicasting which characters you think could be voiced by the same actor. That's very helpful. Yeah, so I mean, I used Kirsty Gilmore was the voice director that I found, suggested by some friends, and she'd done some like big like giant games, so I was a bit intimidated when I looked. But she also does indie stuff, so and she had an Australian New Zealand background, had some Australian family, and was born in New Zealand, so I sort of could trust that she'd be able to nail, like she'd recognize a good Australian accent and New Zealand accent. Whereas if it was just someone from the US, I just don't know that they wouldn't find all these Australian accents that are really American, or like American version of Australian accent kind of thing. So that was pretty important to me. So it was like a really good match. But yeah, so I'll show this audition guideline document, which like I kind of cobbled this together. Like she offered to do this for me, but I'd already kind of gone through and started building it a lot. So then we kind of just sent back and forth on this. But she was very helpful to run, to just like look over this stuff and tell me the different things I should change, because there's a lot of stuff I had no idea about. Certain things, sort of guidelines you give to people to make your life easier, like the way they should name files. But yeah, so I mean, maybe sort of minor spoilers here, because these are like the character bios for like that maybe have some character plot twists and stuff. But this was the sort of the way I wrote the character bios with a lot of help from Kirsty, so male and 30, so sort of giving the like kind of the age of the voice and stuff, and their kind of background, so you could find actors that match that kind of stuff, which was very important to me. And some inspirations, like Spikes from Cowboy Bebop's a pretty obvious one, and Columbo-y kind of stuff. I had some video reference for each character. Yeah, so here's some video reference of like
experiments you could think up.
Different characters. I don't know if I should jump through too much.
Detective.
But yeah, so I kind of grabbed the bits of the game where there was audition lines and tried to use that to be like, to give, I guess, an overview of like, here's the character, and in context of the game, and like how those lines would work in context. So that would help. I thought that might help with the audition process a bit. I think it probably did. I might have been going overkill with a lot of this stuff, because I was like overthinking it and probably procrastinating while I was setting stuff up, because the whole process was pretty scary for me and I wanted to get it right. So I might have like overthought a lot of this stuff, but then having the casting director to run it past was awesome. Yep. So I kind of wrote a little bit of like flavor text about them, and sort of also mentioning the range. So like the character sort of can be very relaxed, have a dry wit, but then he's also be raising his voice and panicking in times. So then you can have some audition lines which match that kind of thing to get in the auditions, get an idea of that range that the actor can provide as well. So a bunch of these, and also the number of lines they've got. and yeah, any kind of concept art or like graphic for what they look like as well. That was the casting call, and then the director sent that out, got a million replies, and then filtered them down to like the sort of top hit lists, and then I had to make choices about which ones were the best ones, and that was challenging as well. So that was like, there was so many who had like multiple ones which were good, and like how am I supposed to choose which one's better? There was often like, this one does this part really well, but I'm not sure if they nail the shouty bits or something like that, or as well as the other one at least. Some actors that were like, this were really good, but I didn't know, but it was just not quite right. But it was like, but maybe I can just sort of talk to them and like we can just workshop it a bit and like get the character sounding right. And so that those sort of decisions were quite tricky. But also just like knowing like, will this character fit over the character in game? That was hard. So I ended up, I kind of chucked them over the audition video I made so that I could hear them all and see which ones fit over the character. And this is one where that changed quite a bit my choices, because as soon as I saw the character talking over or the actor talking over the character, it was suddenly quite different. It sounded quite different when I was listening in isolation to the audition files. I was like, oh, this one's brilliant, it's perfect. And then I put it in game and it was like, oh, actually, this other one just absolutely fits the character. So, here's some examples of the sort of ones that I kind of were like, were trying to choose from because there were so many.
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
I did not.
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
And some actors did too, did a couple of takes.
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
I did not.
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
I
So
did
you might
not.
recognise Wayne Forrester as the final choice. And this is Wayne as well, but a different accent.
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
I did not.
So yeah, that might have been a bit quiet, but yeah, so going through those and then like umming and ahhing and writing lots of notes about pros and cons and finally sort of getting it down to like the final list was like quite a lot of work, quite a lot of scary work. I guess like just those scary decisions, like, oh, I hope this is the right decision, and so then the next part was actually recording. So once I sort of worked out who I wanted, luckily the casting director made it easy to actually schedule things, because I think if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I'll schedule one for this morning and one for Tuesday morning and one for Thursday afternoon and maybe another one on Friday, and then I'll try and do a couple more next week, and then it will string it out over a year pretty much, because that's a lot of sessions to get through. But yeah, Kirsty was like able, because she's good at this stuff, able to schedule like over multiple time zones, be like, all right, 2 or 3 a day kind of thing, and so we got it all through it all in a month. It was awesome. So not maybe not 2 or 3 every day, but it was like up to 3 a day, and like because they're not too long, you get through them, and it's just it meant that I was actually able to manage the planning and logistics, and so that was a really good experience, and very good thing I learned in terms of how this is done. What's next? Well, the actual recording process tended to be either Zoom or Discord, and so they'd usually be set up in their home booth, sort of home studio booth kind of thing, and I'd jump into a voice chat kind of like this, and we'd look at the script. They'd have the script and I'd have my copy as well, and so we'd sort of run through it. We'd usually, what I found worked the best was going section by section. So we might run through this option topic escape section once through, and I might have a bit of feedback after the end, and then we go through again. And then a lot of the time, the second time through, I'd have maybe some more specific feedback about like, oh, can we try that line a few times with a bit more emphasis on the sort of last section or whatever. But yeah, most of the time it's like, okay, for this section, the character's really relaxed and they're very happy and they're in their element, and in this section they're terrified and there's a monster coming at them and they're like they're freaking out. And then being able to play
We've got to be going.
Adrian's lines against it was like really helpful. There's definitely a lot of tips. Like I watched a couple of YouTube videos about voice directing, that like GDC talk kind of ones. But every voice actor and everyone you work with in this sort of area is like super nice and like really friendly. And it's pretty intimidating when you've never done it before. Be like, oh, working with all these people. Usually, like I became a game developer, so I didn't have to talk to people. What's going on? So it feels a bit scary. But like, yeah, and directing is definitely something that I'd recommend doing. Just because it's very hard to get every line the right emotion in every line when for an actor when they don't really have any idea except the context of the words. And there's so many lines which could be read in lots of different ways without knowing the context. You just do it the wrong way, basically. And it's not because you've done it wrong. It's because there's just lots of ways you can say something. Like, is he all right? That can be like, is he all right? Is he all right? Is he all right? So many different ways. So you really know, oh, yeah, the client, he's cut his head, but he's not too bad. But and they're not too worried because they know that they saw him and whatever, So you can kind of give the context. There's a few things I did differently with Adrian because we're such good friends, where I can kind of berate him and just tell him off and have a bit of banter with him. But with Adrian, potentially, I could sort of do a line read and say, oh, try it like this. We've got to be going, or something like that, And then he can go, oh yeah, cool, I'll do it. Whereas most of the time you want to let the actor act. So you don't want to say the line and just tell them to say it like you're saying it, because it's kind of insulting. So but I don't mind insulting Adrian, and he doesn't mind either. Well, it's kind of like, it's kind of saying like, oh, I don't trust you to be able to talk right, so I'm going to do the talking for you and you just like copy it or something. It's weird. So yeah, the most natural ones, a lot of the time the first read ended up being the best, but sometimes it took we'd run through it again and it would just flow a lot nicer and feel more natural. And most of the time the actors wanted to do each section a couple of times. In fact, every time I think that was something that they wanted to have a couple of goes at each bit, make sure they get it right as well, because they want it to be good as well. Got through it all in a month, all the other characters. There was a lot of sessions, which was a tiring month. I think because it's almost like I'm not doing the work really, like they're doing the work, but it's kind of like going. It's like, I don't know. I just have to be concentrating the whole time, because make sure. We don't, not even miss a line, just get a line kind of wrong. Especially following a big long script, you've got to kind of remember all the bits of dialogue, where they fit into the game. Like some sections like this, it's like very obvious, but other ones you just like have a couple of lines. And you're like, oh, what was happening in this bit? Is this in the dangerous, scary bit, or is this in like the relaxed, chill out bit? So that was something that I felt like I had to be on the ball as we're doing it. The next part, I guess, element of it is how I actually get stuff in game, which I can show you. I just like grabbed a chunk of Andy's one, which has got this start bit on it, so I can just show. And I'm using very specific software that I kind of just have been using for ages, which definitely is not the ones that most people will have. I imagine most software has some sort of similar things. I imagine. But then there's also some extra little quirky things that, I don't know, maybe some tips or just things I learned that I think are helpful. So basically, yeah, you get a big long WAV file. Potentially if you're working with a studio, they'll cut it up for you or something, or an actor, maybe an actor will, but usually not. And so you get a big long WAV file of this. I just ask for the whole session, because then I've got like all the takes, everything I need. Nothing's edited. But so here's just like a chunk, like it's just 3 minutes of a session. This was with Rhiannon, who voiced Annie and who else? The receptionist, Miss Clark, and the nurse as well. So usually, like how I do it, grab the file, stick it in Audition, which I'm using like this super old Audition 1.5 or something, and I've got new Adobe stuff, but this old one it just does everything I want, and it doesn't have as much stuff that I don't use. I don't know that they've added much useful stuff to it since, I don't know, for the last decade anyway. But no, this has everything I need, and the new version doesn't add anything new, so I just use this old one. And it's got a few things which I've sort of figured out that I can use that are just super useful. One thing that's nice is it's got this auto cue feature, which will like find the clips where someone's talking. Let's headphones on.
I know it's hard for you, but you're gonna have to face her.
Yeah, so there's the takes and stuff, but then there's a bunch of other stuff in between. So what I do is I've got this auto cue thing, which I've got a shortcut Alt F8 to do it, but that just like automatically kind of adds these little phrases, and there's a cue list. And the nice thing in Audition is you can click these.
Lovely.
And it'll basically just have that little section, tagged for you.
I know I shouldn't push you, but lovely.
And then another thing I ended up using. So originally I would like go, okay, cool.
Lovely.
So say lovely is a line as opposed to them just random just saying lovely. That might be line like 210 or something. Then I'd click that. I'd click down here, type 210 with my left hand. I got quite good with my left hand on the numpad. And then that's done.
I know I shouldn't push you.
And like,
okay, sorry.
And there's these two lines.
I know I shouldn't push you, but
should be the same lines. So it's like, so it's I know I shouldn't. Okay, sorry, I know I shouldn't push you, but so that should be one.
Okay.
Or one line,
okay,
and so I sort of
sorry.
shift click that and click merge,
You,
and that would make it into one. Or you could, you can fiddle around like I could just drag this across and stuff like that. But so one thing I found was just any little step. So just like because I have to.
Okay, sorry.
Because I have to make click that.
Sorry.
Type 11, move my mouse down here, and then move my mouse back up here to keep finding the next one.
I know I shouldn't push you, but
just that extra little bit, because there's so many hours of doing this, so many hours of dialogue, and each like a 2-hour session would take me half a day to kind of do, or a 1-hour session even might. So yeah, another thing I found, which I think is worth setting up, is any little like extra repetitive steps like that. There's like programs that do macro stuff for you. So this one's called Pullover's macro thing, and I kind of recorded a couple of macro script things, also on the numpad, because I'm using numpad to type in the ID numbers.
Okay, sorry.
So that so I added a macro that works just on the dot on my numpad, and one that works on the plus on my numpad. So now instead of clicking down here on label, I can just go up here and press plus and then type a number in, and like don't have to move my mouse. And so it just saves that little extra bit of time.
Okay, sorry.
And the other part of that is I can move my mouse over another one and then press dot on the numpad, and that will merge those two lines together.
No, I shouldn't push you.
So that just makes it one thing.
Sorry.
So those two little things made it just so much less frustrating to have to like move my mouse back down here, click this thing back up here, and be accurate with my mouse. So I'm just like very in the zone.
Okay, sorry. I know I shouldn't push you, but
so that one's 10 as well or something, or 11. Yep. So yeah, and what else?
Okay, sorry. I know I
tended to
push you, but
name alts with like a B or something.
Gonna have to. I know it's hard for you, but you.
So that's 10.
Gonna have to
merge
face.
that.
We got multiples. It's all good. To her. Jesus, she's gonna be at the funeral. You still haven't talked.
It's 9.
To her. I know it's hard for you, but you're gonna have to face her.
So yeah, it's basically like going through here, looking at these IDs. Yeah. That was 10 again, but I think I prefer this bottom one.
I know it's hard for you, but to her. Jesus, she's going to be at the Talk to Sarah? Gotta break out of that head of yours, Mick.
So it's 8.
Talk to
Merge
Sarah?
with that.
Jesus, we moved over a year ago. No, Mick.
So that one's 7. And so then...
No, Mick. Jesus. No, Mick. Jesus.
So this one I
we
might
moved
like, there's a breath at the start, so
No.
I might like, drag the tag so it skips the breath.
No, Mick. Jesus. We moved over a year
Yeah,
ago.
so there's a lot of like fiddliness and like little things, but little things to edit and tweak. But for the most part, like having that sort of macro thing.
Gotta break
Made
out
that
of
super
that head
easy.
of you. Have the address?
So let's get rid of
Jesus,
these.
she's-
So then the other thing that's nice
got
about
multiple?
this is I've just got, I've got these numbers.
Lovely. No, Mick. Okay, sorry.
And so there might be like
No, I shouldn't
a
push
couple
you,
hundred
but-
here or something. And then I can just hit batch. This one's called Annie. And if I say use Q as file name, it'll add the number at the end. So we'll call it Annie 10. And so that way, or Annie 789. So it'll match these Annie 789. And then I can just batch save those into the game folder. And then I've got the WAV files all there numbered.
You gotta break out of that head of yours, Mick.
And
Talk
so
to
then-
Sarah?
And then I can also save this file with all these cues here, and then make a copy of it and add some effects. So like if I want it to sound like a telephone or whatever, that's like something like that. So that makes it sound like a telephone. Yeah, I don't know. There's always lots of stuff you do to it, I guess. Yeah, so...
Gotta break out of that head of yours, Mick. No, Mick, Jesus, we met. Jesus,
So there's
she's
a-
going to be at the funeral, you know. You still haven't.
So yeah, you
talked
might
to
do
her.
that, and that you can do that in a copy, and both of them have the cues, so you can just re-export all the little clips, but you can process it as one big file. So I used Mitch, our sound guy, musician actually did mastering for the VO and stuff, which was really helpful as well. Someone who was happy to like go through and process all the different voice actors' audio so that they kind of all sounded similar, like similar volumes, and like they're in the same room, similar treatments and stuff, and then add some little effects as well. But yeah, so that's kind of was my kind of streamlined process that like I eventually found for going through so much of these like thousands and thousands of lines and numbering them all, because it's like a huge job. It's so time consuming, and so any little like tweak that you can do to make it easier, yeah, definitely worth it. Yeah, so that's the whole process. One other thing I did in the engine towards the end was made this. This is quite late as well. Made this volume tweaks file. So like you can set some default volume tweaks, basically default up, default down, and then it will go, okay, make Dave the character I'm editing, and then line 123, make it go up 80%, or line 42, make it go down the default down. And so yeah, so then Mitch could go in and just like tweak volumes of individual things without having to go into his audio setup and tweak stuff there and bring it back in. You could just chuck a bunch in here, and then the game would automatically update straight away. But yeah, just like for like tweaking bits, like, oh, I've just noticed this line just sounds weirdly a bit loud, so you can tweak, we can made it easy to tweak it down. So this is like he went through and did all this like over a while, getting all the little bits right. I had some other bits, like I added code so that, like, say, you in town yet? When are you getting here? Like if that was too quiet, I think there was audio dot down, voice down, voice down, so I could lower the voice for a section that way, and then voice reset to put it back to default, and also pan next line. That was useful, so I could like for Annie's lines, I panned them to be in the right or something, so 0.5 on the right, so it sounded like it was a telephone call in one ear. We've got Mick saying, oh no, did I need to? And because this is a line that gets cut off, you don't want a gap there, and so we came up with this function to add, and Dom helped to code it up. Interrupt next line, and then you can just put how long before the end of the line that it should be interrupted. And so...
No. Did I need to...
Never mind. You're staying at ours tonight, yeah? Have the address?
Yeah, so you can see that if there's that gap there, it's just very unnatural. And you see this all the time, so much in even AAA games, where they'll write it like the character's being interrupted, but the other character that's talking to them will just wait for them to finish, then start talking. With this bit of code, like it sounds more like this.
No. Did I need to...
Never mind. You're staying at ours tonight, yeah? Have the address?
So it just makes it flow naturally. So that's one thing I made a huge difference just in timing the dialogue, just being able to say, this next line interrupted a bit early. Like, yeah. So there's a lot of that in this phone call because and he's always like, I got to talk over you. I've got all this stuff on my mind, frenetic kind of thing. Yep. Sorry. That was a little side thing. But yeah, adding voice acting is adds so much to a game. I think just adds so much character and so much sort of realness to it. I guess it's weird when you're writing, especially a serious game, because you're just making stuff up. That's what storytelling is, I guess. You're like, oh yeah, just make this character say this for the, and then when you get a real person to actually say those words and act it out like that, like it's real, it suddenly becomes real. It's very crazy and cool. It's like magic. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that's helpful. This is obviously a really long dev diary style thing. I just thought I'd walk through the whole thing I did, and yeah, big shout out and thanks to all the voice actors and Kirsty Gilmore doing the voice directing, and Mitch helping with the mastering, and also obviously for music, and yeah, all the actors that helped. Everyone was so awesome to work with, so funny, and we always laughed a lot during the sessions, which is brilliant. Yeah, so massive thanks to them. This definitely makes the game having the right cast and stuff. It's very cool. And so yeah, it was definitely a big learning experience, and there's so much work that goes into it, but very, very happy. Definitely makes the game, and it's a massive fun part of the project as well. Cool. Well, I'll leave it there. We want to do another Power Jam after, I guess, I've done the holidays and all that stuff. And I think the next theme we wanted to do is bad voice acting. So, so I guess you could use the things you learned here and then throw them away, and we'll get some really bad voice acting in some tiny games that we make in a week. So that'll be fun. Look out for that, I guess, in ages. I don't know when I'm going to get time to do that, but maybe towards the end of the year, that'd be fun. Cool. Well, I'll leave it there. I've got a few more of these topics for these things planned, so I'll keep trying to do them. But yeah, till the next one. See ya.